Sisters, how y'all feel? Brothers, y'all all right? What's up? So we're here. We're doing it. We're podcasting. I don't want the whole entire podcast to be about deconstruction, but deconstruction is definitely popping right now, and I'm not mad at it. I got mics on the way, definitely getting used to the sounds outside, the city sounds of Atlanta. But yeah, we got a little recording house, streaming house that we are working from, and it should be cool. We'll see. So when it comes to the deconstruction, I am pleasantly surprised. Everybody is talking to me like, y'all protect her. You are a brave lady. You are just so brave. And to me, that really shows like how scary, how diabolical, how controlling the Christian landscape has been. The religious psychosis, the dominance of church has been over us, that we cannot even ask questions, that we cannot even talk openly about what we think, about what we feel, about the questions that we have, about the things that are prominent in our minds that didn't make sense to us, and the things that we have been through and experienced that have hurt us, or things that have, people love to throw church hurt around, but it's more like religious trauma. And that's a new kind of concept that people are learning and accepting, but religious trauma is significant and it's real. And as a person who is specializing in it, I'm sure that I'm attracting that, but it is extremely common because of the period that we're coming out of with baby boomers, Gen X, being super overly religious and indoctrinating that into their children's mind, and then it having effects on them long term. And what are those effects, and what do the effects look like of religious trauma? That's like one of the main things that I deal with. And every time when a person is talking to me about having a dad in their home, and the dad was present, but he was very abusive or very harsh and physically, psychologically, mentally, sexually, whatever, abusive, 9 times out of 10, he was a very religious man. And the correlation cannot be a coincidence. It cannot be an accident. These things are absolutely correlated. These things are absolutely connected and tied together. And abusive men are seeking refuge in the church. They're finding leadership and solace in our churches, and they're using it to abuse and control women and children. Other men also, men also have a story about being abused in churches. Men also have a story about leadership, about being taken advantage of, about being vulnerable and needing something, because that's when you come to church. That's why you come to church, because you're looking for something. You have a void, you have things that are missing, or you have pieces of yourself that you want to grow, change, expand, and you come to the church thinking that you will find the answers that you're looking for. You will find refuge, you will find peace of mind, and a lot of times you're not finding it. What you're finding is more manipulation, more control, more dominance. And I know that it's not everybody. So that's one of the things that has kept me from fully kind of going deep into it for a long time, because I know that it's not everybody, and I don't want to give everybody a bad rap. I don't want to give all churches or all Christians or anybody a bad rap. But the fact that we're not addressing things and we're not dealing with them is a sign that it just points to the level of control and manipulation and dominance that people feel when they are talking about this stuff, when they're dealing with this stuff, when they are having these religious experiences. And we have to talk about it. We have to air it out. People are like, you're coming against the church made you, the church raised you, and you're attacking them, you're coming against them. The church being above reproach is a problem. Any group, any organization, any system being above reproach, that you can't ask questions, that there's no checks and balances, that there's no system of accountability, is a dangerous system. Any system that goes for literally any system, in politics, in religion, in our churches, in our schools, in our every system there should be a checks and balances. There should be questions being asked and answered. There should be accountability, because humans have a exponential ability to corrupt things, to harm things, to defile things. And if you cannot ask questions, that's the first red flag. That's the biggest red flag in your partnerships with people, in your relationships, in your religious experiences, in your job, and your whatever. If you can't ask questions, if you're not allowed to question, to wonder, to figure it out, then huge red flag. Y'all rolling up the red flags and making them roses is what I done figured out. Because I'm going to be on y'all's head about these relationships too. Because when I'm trying to deconstruct y'all from Christianity, I got to deconstruct y'all from patriarchy. I had to deconstruct y'all from these toxic ass relationships. Let's talk about it. Because we want to blame the men, but the men can't do this without the women's consent. And we're not talking about violating women. We're not talking about strong-arming women. I'm saying women have to be complicit in raising their partner, in men that they're dating, that you are cleaning up after them, doing their laundry, taking care of them, and also paying the bills, and also taking care of the children, also doing all the heavy lifting. How did we con women into doing this? It always goes back to the church. Women who have not been indoctrinated in the church have a much harder time being convinced to be domestic slaves today. The church women are leading the charge. Church women, evangelical women, are how Donald Trump got into power. If the white women did not betray us, we would not be here today. Let's talk about it. I mean, are we going to talk about it, or are we going to pretend? Because I thought y'all wanted to have a real conversation. Y'all be getting nervous every time when we're saying anything, because you're not ready to, you don't want to put yourself out there. You don't want to alienate your friends and family. You don't want to make people feel a type of way. We got to stop with business as usual. Things have to be uncomfortable. People have to be uncomfortable. We have to get uncomfortable in order to have these conversations and to really get to the bottom of fixing our community and our things. America is not going to fix us. America is not going to be there for us. It's not going to stand up for us. It's not going to represent us. We have to represent ourselves. And in doing that, we have to look at the systems and the practices that we have in place that are keeping us stuck and bound. And religion is at the tippity top of the list. The tippity top of the list. Because it is. Religion is the only thing that would make you turn the other cheek when someone is smacking the shit out of you. Turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek. The only other cheek you're getting is my ass cheek. Because what are you talking about? Like, are y'all for real? Be so fucking for real. Be so for real. And we're going to talk about all the things. I am going to be taking questions. I am going to be answering the questions that are posed on TikTok, that are posted in the comments below. So ask your questions, leave your comments, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to do this. Like, for real. Y'all asking questions you don't want to know the answer to. And somebody hit the nail on the head when they're saying they don't want to believe that their grandma's life was wasted believing something that was not true. And I'm sorry, but previous generations have always had to experience that. It's like saying you don't want your grandma to have to experience baking bread from scratch when you can go and buy bread now. This is the sign of the time. This is evolution. The Bible was there to explain things that they could not otherwise explain with their knowledge that they had at the time. But that's why it's extremely limited. That's why there's no talk about dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were already extinct long before humans came onto the earth. So they don't know nothing about dinosaurs. So that's why nothing about dinosaurs is in there, because they don't know nothing about dinosaurs. Dinosaurs didn't exist then. That's why they don't have nothing about technology or electricity or the internet or anything like that, because God didn't tell them about things they could not see. They were only writing down what they could see and experience then and saying God was telling them things. But God did not ever enlighten them about things that they could not see. Even things that had been in the past or things that were to come, neither one. They only wrote what they could see. That's why we're sacrificing animals. That's why we're talking about sowing and reaping and harvesting and planting and all of those types of things. That's why the best weapon that they could come up with was a flaming sword, because that was the best weapon that they had then. A flaming sword. If you wanted to really show off, you had a flaming sword. They don't have the AK-47s. They don't have machetes and all of that different stuff, because they didn't have that then, and God didn't show them anything about that. We're going to get all the way into it, because I want y'all to think critically, and I want y'all to go deeper than what you have allowed yourself to go. Remove yourself from the fear of we're not allowed to ask questions, because says who? Like, if you feel like your relationship with your mother can't withstand you asking questions, what kind of relationship do you have? Then the only relationship that only exists if you will allow yourself to be violated in that way. If you will allow yourself to dumb yourself down, or to not have your questions answered, or to go against your own intellect, your own thoughts, critical thinking, your own ability to reason, and say, I'm going to put all that down in order to believe what you're telling me. The only way this relationship works is if I violate myself. Then it is a toxic relationship. And we have to look at that. We have to look at that honestly, because it's part of the Black people's problem. This is part of the problem in our community. We are told how to accept less, how to be mistreated, how to survive in trouble, but not how to be respected, not how to be appreciated, acknowledged, valued. And we got to flip the script. At some point, we're going to have to look at why we're accepting this behavior and where it's coming from. We have to. Like, if we really want change, if we really want to grow as a community, if we really want to have a life after America falls apart, because it's going to fall apart at some point. But even before then, if we want to have our own things, we're going to have to look at what's holding us back, what's keeping us stuck, where is the flaws in our leadership, where are the gaps in our progression, and fill in those gaps and answer those questions and address those issues. We gotta deal with the religious piece. We have to deal with the religious piece, because we feel like we can't even ask a question. We're not even able to ask a question. And y'all think that's right? When I see y'all in the comments on my TikToks justifying some of this behavior, justifying some of these actions, justifying some of these teachings that we have received, I understand. I recognize the trauma, because only a traumatized person could and would justify being humiliated in front of the whole congregation and being laughed at for giving of your hard-earned money. Man, are we gonna talk about it? We have to address the trauma. People used to go to church. We used to recommend, as therapists, that people get their spiritual center, go back to church, go to, the higher power to address some of the feelings that you're feeling about inadequacy or whatever. But now, in 2025, people are coming to us from the church to heal from the wounds that have been inflicted by narcissistic leaders, by unsound doctrine, by colonized theology that is harmful to Black people, The theology is harmful to black people. To say that I am nothing, I am filthy rags, I am barely making it in, God barely even loves me because I am trash, I am at the bottom of the barrel. This is what we are teaching to people and expecting them to feel good about themselves and about their religious experience, when all we're telling them is what they are not and what they can never be. How they can never be clean, how they constantly have to lay prostrate and constantly have to repent and constantly are dirty and filthy and nothing and on and on. Wonder why when people having anxiety attacks. You have anxiety because you're trying to believe a lie in your churches that this prayer is going to solve the problem, and it's not. It's not. What they have told us about prayer is errant. What they have told us about the characteristics of God is errant. What they have told us about the Bible being infallible, even being for us, is errant. The Bible was never for us. We're culturally appropriating another race and religion's book and trying to make it fit into 2025 American life, and it don't fit. It don't make no sense. And we're trying our best to make it make sense, and it's falling apart. And even in terms of religions in general, who have had a good run, you know, Judaism and Islam, and even the even like Asian religions of Buddhism and different ones, Christianity is already falling apart, and it's only been 2025 or 50 years. Christianity's already they're already poking the holes in it. What doesn't make sense is that what they have done is taken a lot of religious folklore and religious storytelling and religious ideologies and shoved them into a Christian book. So some of it is conflicting. So when I'm talking about Nephilims and and angels, sons of God, which was actually Greek gods that were having sex with humans and creating, that's from Greek mythology. It's from Greek mythology. But we try to squeeze it into a Christian mindset because the Greeks culturally appropriated the Hebrews' religion and book. So they put their own mythology into it and give that as a reason for the flood story. There's multiple flood stories in other religions that predate Christianity. We just don't want to answer the questions because we know the answers are going to lead us away from that book. And it can't be. Grandma's life can't be for nothing. But it's not, though. It's not for nothing just because we have been further enlightened. Knowing how to make bread from scratch isn't replaced by buying bread from the store. It's just a growth. It's an evolution. And we have to accept it as that and stop feeling bad because we evolve. The evolution is necessary. The evolution should be televised. We have to grow. We have to evolve if we want to do better for ourselves. We're still coming out of a slave mentality. We're still coming out of a colonized mentality. And then we have to unpack what we've been taught about God, about ourselves, about our creator, about our place in the world. Because we're trying to get people who don't see us as people. If I'm a woman and the men who put this book together don't see me as a valuable person, but as property or as a thing to be used, how can I expect that you would know what God is saying to me about me? If that's your mentality about me, I can't accept your book because it ain't to me. Your book is to other men to tell them how to dominate me. And it's effective in that way. If it teaches women to make themselves subservient, if I'm to only think that my only purpose here or my only reason for being born is to be a helpmate to a man, to serve a man, then yeah, I'm going to uphold the patriarchy fiercely. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to look the other way. I'm going to deny my own desires and feelings to please God so that I can make it into heaven, because God's only purpose for making me was to serve a man. Who wrote that? Y'all think that that's what God really thinks? Because if you're reading the Bible, that's the only conclusion that you can come to. But I'm choosing to say I don't believe the Bible because I know that God thinks more of me than that. You should be outraged that the Bible is pushing this about the God that you love. You love God, but the Bible is pushing false narratives about the God you claim to love. Because that's not what God thinks about me. It's not. It's not what God thinks about me. It's what those men who put this book together thought about me. And I'm not going to go along with it. I'm going to use my voice to liberate the minds of other people who are stuck in that thinking and who I'll lose along the way wasn't meant to come. Either you gonna walk with me or you gonna not. Y'all be so scared of losing people. That means you don't feel secure in your connection with them because you think if you don't agree with them, they will leave you. Well, is it worth even having a connection with people who will leave you just because you don't agree? Or they only will be in relationship with you if you continue to violate yourself and your own feelings and your own beliefs or your own intuition? Because what sealed it for me was my own beliefs and intuition that I feel inside me was so strong. I knew something was outside of me directing me and guiding me. But I also knew that it did not match what I was reading in that book. And I studied that book to make it fit. I tried my best to make it fit. And then I had to accept what I know of God. When God speaks to me to tell me what to do, how to do, to protect myself, to listen to my gut instincts, it does not match that book one bit. One bit it don't match that book. And I trust myself over that book any day. The problem is y'all don't trust yourself. You don't have good self-esteem. You are already traumatized and you're used to being abused. So you continue to take and accept that abuse because it feels familiar to you. It feels like home. Abuse feels like home. So when they do bring you up in front of the church and humiliate you in front of everybody, that's familiar because you've been humiliated in front of everybody. You're used to being treated like that. And so going to the church and being also treated like that is par for the course. It just feels like this is just how it is for me. But that's not God. That doesn't represent God. That represents abuse, trauma, and pain. And a lot of our churches are filled with it. That level of humiliation, of being ridiculed, of being talked down to, of being mistreated. You accept it, you understand it, and you are used to it. So it doesn't feel like abuse to you until you step out of it fully and you realize, hey, I was putting up with a lot of crap. Like they used me up until they couldn't use me no more. And then as soon as I stepped away, I was a demon. I was a villain. I was the devil. I wasn't the devil as long as I was letting y'all use me. I wasn't the devil as long as y'all was getting my labor for free. Now suddenly I'm the devil. How did I become the devil? Because I'm not willing to be used anymore. It's so interesting. But it's also interesting to me how y'all feel like I'm so brave because I'm speaking my truth. It shows me how uncomfortable y'all feel with being connected to your own feelings, your own spirit, your own heart, your own mind. Like it's groundbreaking to y'all that I would be true to myself. That means you're not used to, comfortable with, accepting, being true to yourself. Because what's groundbreaking about honesty? Unless you done been living with a lifetime of lies. What's groundbreaking about honesty? We're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about it. We here for this. We here for the long haul. I'm gonna talk about relationships. I'm gonna talk about deconstruction. I'm talking about our community, our things, our voices, our perspective. And hopefully my goal ultimately is to get people thinking outside of the box, thinking differently, experiencing differently, feeling differently, exploring their own thoughts and feelings and behaviors and desires and ways and all of that, and getting to the heart of what's stunting our growth, what's keeping us from growing, what's keeping us stuck, what has hurt us in the past, and how we can move beyond it in a healthy way. That's my goal. That's what we're here for. I'm gonna be taking questions. I'm gonna be doing live. We're gonna be going deeper, and I hope y'all ready. Put your strap in, put your seatbelt on, buckle up, because we're going there. We're going there. I'm not scared of none of you. I'm not scared of none of you. We going there, and let's go. Can we talk about it? Huh? Can we talk about it? Let's do it.